Hello everyone, welcome to your Accounting 204 week number 2 lecture. So in this lecture what we're going to do is we are going to be covering lesson number 3 and lesson number 4 from Sage 300 2021 edition. So if you are enrolled into my course, you will have access to the Blackboard, and in Blackboard I usually organize all my material by weeks. So you are in week number 2, so that's where you will find all the resources that you need for week number 2. And last week we have covered chapter 1, which was just getting a little basic understanding about Sage 300, getting started with the software, and then getting familiar yourself with the database backup, database load, and some of the administration services. And then lesson 2 we started with the GL setup, and now in lesson 3 we are going to be starting working on creating chart of accounts. So most likely I'll have this video posted into 2 different parts. One will be lesson 3, then I'll stop, and then I will come back and then do lesson number 4 separately. So now when you come in, what you will see in your week number 2, you see end of lesson 2, end of lesson 3 backups. So these are the backup files, and then you have a file which is a PDF file, which are my notes for these 2 chapters. So it gives you what you need to do for this week, and just a quick notes about what's covered in each of these chapters, so you have a high level of understanding what do you need to do. And make sure once you complete those chapters, you do a check mark on those items that you understand them very well. And then obviously when you come into my class, you will be given a separate exercise which will give you a practice on both lesson 3 and lesson number 4. Alright, so then I just want to show you one more thing that's on a Blackboard here as well. So there's a chart of accounts. So there's a function there where we can import accounts. So for that we need the CSV file. So now let's get started. So I'm going to open the notes and have it on my screen as well, so that way we can refer to it. So week 2, we are covering lesson number 3 and lesson number 4. As I mentioned earlier, to be successfully complete this course and get a good understanding, you want to make sure that you're doing this on a week-to-week basis, because this is more of a course that is not something that you understand by reading it or by listening to the lectures. You will have a better understanding when you actually do it yourself. So when you listen to this video, you don't have to rush to do the same things at the same time. You can listen to the video and then come back and complete your chapter by yourself, by giving yourself at least 2 to 3 hours and sitting down and doing all the exercise in detail from beginning till the end. So now to do this course, you need a software, you need a USB, you need a test book. So these are 3 things that we need. So if you have the Sage 300 installed on your PC, you will open it, and we'll start with exercise 3.1. But if you don't have the software installed, we are going to be using your Humber app stream. If you are a student from Humber College, you will use my apps at Humber, and I'm sure these apps are available for other colleges and universities as well. So I'm just saying that because when I post this video on YouTube, maybe other people will listen to it as well. So my lecture is focused on using the app stream. So when you go in, I'll show you when we go through that, we will use the app stream and launch Sage 300. And then before we start 3.1, anytime you're working on the campus, the C drive is always empty. So you always have to do a database load. So whenever I'm going to start any chapter, I need to do a database load from the previous chapter. So that's why we are using end of lesson 2 to database load. Once the load is done, then we're going to open the Sage 300. That's actually where this exercise starts from. And then we're going to look into entering the chart of accounts. So again, I'm not going to create all the chart of accounts, but I'll show you how to create the chart of accounts. I may do some examples, maybe like 3 to 5 accounts. I'll show it to you and show you the key parts that's important when you create an account. Then I'll show you how to import an account. That's where we need that CSV file. The good thing about these softwares, you can use an Excel file and work with that to do an import and export of the data. Then we also look at the exercise 3.4, which you will do it as well when you do the chapter, where you can create certain accounts which already exist for one department. You want to create a copy of those accounts for another department. There's a shortcut where you don't have to do individual accounts. You can tell the system, say, okay, well, I want to pick up any accounts that are between the certain range and create those accounts for another department. So a system will go in and review all the accounts that exist, and anything that's missing for a second department, it will create it. We'll go into modifying accounts, how to delete an account. The most important one is creating a location account. So that's a one specific type of account, and we'll do some examples for that. Then once the accounts are created, your chart of account is ready, we will set up a default closing account. You may remember that we skipped this part in chapter 2 because we didn't have the accounts created. So we want to make sure that the system is ready before it go to the next fiscal year, that there's a default closing account. Default closing account is your equity account. In this case, we are going to be using retained earning account. So we'll set up that as a default closing account, then view the reports. We also print a chart of account just so that we understand how we print a chart of account as well. And then we'll do at the end is a database dump, which is a backup at the end of lesson 3. So you may not need to, I will do the backup just to show you guys, but you will do this backup just for your record and keep it on a USB, and that will be your work that you completed. Okay, so I want you to do that when you finish your chapter number 3 and have your own backup. So when you start lesson 4, you don't need my backup file. You can do that by doing a database load from end of lesson 3 that you created. Okay, so that is something that I recommend. But if you don't feel comfortable using your own backup, you can use my backup as well. That's available for end of lesson 3 to do your lesson 4. Okay, so I'll come back to lesson 4 in the next video. So what's in chapter 3? So chapter 3 is doing the chart of accounts. So the major focus is creating accounts and understanding anything relevant to the chart of accounts. Now for us to start the chapter 3, we need end of lesson 2 backup need to be uploaded. Now for us, if you are working on the app stream, you are going to go to your Humber app stream. I always like to add that as a bookmark, so I have this added as my bookmark somewhere here, Humber My Apps. When I click it, it will ask me the login. Once the login is done, then I search for the app, say 300, and I click on it and I click launch. So when you click launch, then system will open the file. So there it is. But I cannot open the file because if I open it from here, it is going to be the empty file, and that's going to take me back to exercise 1.3, and I'm going to start everything from scratch. But I have completed chapter 1 and chapter 2, so I don't have to do that. So I can close it, and I'm going to close this for now. Let's just leave it open, and I'm going to go into database load. Oops, wrong place. Database load, and then it's going to ask me the password is admin. Now it's going to ask me the file. So what I usually do is on my USB drive, so technically this G drive is my USB drive, I created a folder accounting 204. Within that I created these many folders. Omni database backup file, so this is the backup file, your initial. So this is where you keep your backup file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another file called Omni Database Backup, and I'll call this original. Why I call it original is because this is where I'm going to save the files where I'm going to download from the Blackboard, and this is where you're going to keep your file, so you can put your initial or your full name in the other folder. Okay, so that's how I want you to organize your USB or the C drive wherever you are saving these files. And then I created another folder for Omni reports. That's where you keep all the reports. Then I created the other folder for the database for the channel exercise. So this is where you keep the channel exercises database. And then you can again divide this into two parts: channel exercise database with the original, and then you can create another one called channel exercise database backup. Okay, so you can do that, or you can just use this one folder, and inside the folder, when you do a backup, you can call this channel exercise dash your name, and that will be the backup that you created, the one that you complete. And this is where you save all the reports for the channel exercises. And if you're working on any other database files, you can put them in the other folders. So that's how I organize my my folder for accounting 204. So I don't have the chapter 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on a Blackboard and go back here, and I'm going to download end of lesson 2. So I downloaded by putting my download folder. So here I'm going to copy it from here because I don't leave the file on that folder, and I want that to be right here. And now once it's here, I'm going to right click and say unzip. If you don't have unzip, you can say extract here, and then it will extract the file. Now this is my end of lesson 2 file that I'm going to use. Now I'm ready to do a database load. So I'm going to go into set directory, find the location, which is D drive 204, original counting end of lesson 2. So you always want to make sure it's a parent folder. So it's right here. Press OK. Press OK again. So these files come up. Omnidat, you link the Omnidat with Omnidat. So you want to make sure that the file is being copied into the correct database, and you give you that confirmation, and then you press next. And now you're going to do the same thing with OmniSys as well, and that's with OmniSys. Now so the next part that we have is confirming that these databases are going to be copying the files from here. We click finish. Says they are not empty. That's fine because I was working on it, and it will give you the second message for the OmniSys as well. Okay, that's weird. So maybe let me close this. Okay. Alright guys, okay, so there was a issue with the database file, so I ended up reusing another file, which was straightforward process of doing a database load. So now when I click finish, everything was finished. I got a message saying the database has been uploaded into Omnidat and OmniSys. So if you are having this issue, maybe just email it to me, and then I'll give you the other database file. But if you have your own database file that you have used or backed up from end of lesson 2, try using that instead of the one that I provided you. Sometimes it is a conflict of how I uploaded the file, so that's why I try to make sure that it's zipped. So now we ended up doing a database load. So I have not started any exercises, only we did the database load. So once the load is done, then you back into the Sage. And now what we're going to do is we are going to launch the software. So I have to go back here, click launch, and that will open the application. And now when I select the Omnidat, and I'll enter the session date that's provided in the test book, and that is January 1st, 2023, and I press OK. It will have everything that we completed. Okay, there's one issue. Alright guys, so I just have to let you guys know that I was not able to record the video because somehow the Sage 300 app stream is not working on the desktop that I have. May have to rely on the college computer to run the app stream. So I'm not sure if you guys are having the issues. I think the issue that I'm having with my computer is because I used to have Sage 300 installed for the previous edition, and now because it's creating a conflict and giving me different kind of error messages. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to disregard. So we will definitely discuss chapter 3 and 4 in class, and what I'm going to use this time is to just brief you what's in chapter 3 and 4. So we already talked about what's in chapter 3, and obviously you will get more detail of these chapters in your textbook, and we'll discuss that in class as well. So we're going to make sure that we understand how to create accounts, and that's the main objective. And at the end we want to make sure we know how to print the chart of accounts as well. And once we finish chapter 3, we're going to jump into chapter 4, that's lesson 4. Now again, you can continue with lesson 4 right after you finish chapter 3, but I definitely recommend you to create a backup, so at least you have your own file for the backup as well. And after you complete chapter 3, you start chapter 4. So now if you close your computer and you come back, you do a database load and open lesson number 4. So if you have not restarted, you continue, and then you continue from exercise 4.1. So in chapter 4, what we're doing is we are going to be entering the opening balances. So this company has been running, and it has the running balance from the last fiscal year. So the book has given us the trial balance that they have on December 31st, 2022. So we are going to be using that to go forward for recording transactions in the month of January 2023. But we need to enter that opening balances. So in Sage 50, what we used to do is we simply go in and put the balances as the ending balances. But in Sage 300, you cannot do that. So what you have to do is you have to do a journal entry with the opening balances. So based on the trial balance that's given, you already created the accounts. Then you're going to look at those accounts balances and identify their debit or credit balance and do a full journal entry with all the accounts that has debit balance. You will debit those accounts, and all the accounts that has a credit balance, you credit that account. It will also give the opportunity of how the entries are being recorded in the journal ledger. So you will create a new batch, and then in that batch you record a journal entry, and we're going to call that journal entry as a opening entry. And then once that opening entry is done, you'll see you have debit equals to your credit, and then you go in and post that batch. So here we don't post journal entries, we post the entire batch. So in this example, we're only going to have one journal entry, and that gets posted. Once that gets posted, your trial balance is updated, your financial statements are updated. You can pull up the trial balance as of December 31st, 2022. It will match with the numbers that you will have. And then after you're done, you're still in 2022 fiscal year, you can tell the system to create a new fiscal year. So in that case, what the system is going to do is it's going to close all the temporary accounts and create a new fiscal year. Once that is done, then you're ready to record transactions for the next year. So this is what you will be doing to finish chapter 4. So after you complete chapter 4, you have set up the general ledger, you created a chart of accounts, and then you enter the opening balances. And chapter 5, we're going to focus on doing the budgets, and then later on we're going to start recording transactions. And that's something that's going to happen in the next few weeks. So right now your focus is just to get yourself familiar with creating accounts and doing an opening entry and getting familiar with how the journal entries work in Sage 300. So that's pretty much it. And now if you guys want to do a head start, you can, but we will definitely meet you in class, and that's where we're going to go through and do chapter 3 and 4 together. Okay, take care everyone till then, and I'll see you in class. Bye bye.